Gifford here. Marcy,
Here?
Helmrich,
Here.
Osmond here. We have all members present and present. So at this point, we can open the meeting up to public comments. If there's anybody from the public that would like to comment. We don't see anyone in the audience, and I don't see anyone on the call. So we'll close the public comment section and move to approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make the motion?
I move to approve the agenda of our February 16th, 2022 workshop.
For it. Voted by Gifford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. So we're going to start with a review of the strategic plan, and if you brought in a little booklet, you should have that there. We'll just go over it real quickly. The first one is commitment to excellence. That's the first category that we worked on, and we have increased our professional staff. We made Jennifer full-time. Project hall renovations, it's been a meeting, and they're still batching to these.
We have design.
We have a design. Increase safety in the township. We did get the speed radar signs. We worked with the county on the stoplight over and about. Beautify the interchanges. I don't know that we've made any progress there.
Although it is on the radar of the advisory committee to the extent.
Okay, good.
we can do that.
Online and social media presence, we're working on that right now. Getting a website design team in place.
Also on the e-glass list, it's over 400 now.
Excellent.
And then yesterday, we were talking, I don't know how it came up. She had this brilliant idea that I shared with Jennifer. Jennifer gets email addresses, well, permanent, most people. I get tax inquiries. We should start sharing that email instantly with Jennifer to grow even further.
We have some of it, and I don't know if that's like okay, like to just take people's email addresses from others, so like because we have a lot of it on we have a lot of them on
I thought it was a good idea.
to the to
Oh, right. Yeah. Lori said that. But if they're writing to us directly, that's the issue. They can always.
And who's managing like the Facebook stuff?
Jennifer. Again, it needs to be improved. We all know that.
There's only so many hours in it.
I know. But we didn't slip back.
The other one under this category was waste removal services, trash recycling, large items. I think we're on track to start making some updates to that, but we kind of moved it to the back burner a little bit. And that's quite enough on this plate.
But we did participate in the tri-community.
Yeah, we did.
hazardous
Yeah.
waste.
And the batteries. There's been some
Yeah.
progress there.
Yeah, we're taking our batteries directly to Batteries Plus because it's half the cost of shipping them. And the second one was collaboration and engagement. Taxes and finances. I think we've done a fairly good job with that. We found a real display out on the hobby. We can continue to do, but we just made a start with that. Collaborations, strengthen and maintain the partnership and a variety of partnerships. We then the track community bike trail. We're just waiting to hear back on that grant.
Join the harbor authority.
Join the harbor authority. We appointed a person to the Cal Lake Authority.
Yep.
Just continuing to move on. I think our managers, or the managers from the three communities are going to have a monthly meeting. That will help. when appropriate. Open house, town hall, meet and greet opportunities. Well, COVID has kind of put a kibosh on that, but
The outdoor.
yeah. But we do have the new equipment that we purchased for participation by Zoom to the public. I think that's a big help. That open house on hold forever.
Does the city do that? Does the city do it?
They really don't. City Council of Holland always did have an open house in December. Coffee with council was what it was called. They did get quite a good turnout. They did it every year.
I think it would be appropriate if we done outside and it could really align with when our construction is complete. Obviously, we want to have that.
Next one was Parks and Nature. I think we're moving ahead on that in many different ways. Got some additional funding that is potential additional funding that could be contributing to parks.
Two new
And we really-
commissioners that are really.
We've really encouraged them to step forward in the sense of be more proactive, maybe even aggressive suggestion, I should say, with the budget plan.
Yeah,
They have a workshop today. The direction I gave them as treasurer of the township was, is they've never really done this. Come up with a wish list. We can only say no. And it is part of our general fund, so it has to be weighed against our total budget. But I think they finally get it. They know how much money they had budgeted this year. They haven't spent all of it. They're buying a bench to put out here. So I think with the changes, the people we've added there with Ken Butler, James, it's a pretty. It's up. They've had a lot of positive. Ken Butler.
They're pretty dynamic.
So hopefully they won't come back with a huge list, but they've never really done that. So as I said, you can approve some of it
And nature
because
and
it's our overall budget. It's a good sign to see them.
financial stability. I think that Abby and John have done a great job with their investments. We can see our pension liability. Sewer and water development, that's an interesting topic because we're in the middle of the Eagle negotiations. The Eagle, James Callaway, not having agreements in place. So that's under construction, and we have another year to go on that. The Eagle Black Marble. Cemetery, as far as I know, that's going well. And city of Saugatuck is signed the sewer, the cemetery agreement, so that's good. Road operations, lights and transmitted. Dana's working on a lot of that stuff with Lakeshore Drive and different activities.
So I'm sorry. Because I just noticed it says North Shore Drive, isn't that probably Lake Shore Drive?
Yeah.
Unless maybe they've added a road I we don't know about.
So just have to kind of stay on top of that a little bit when our millage is expiring.
So, yeah. And as we discussed yesterday, if we have, I think, overall several of these categories, particularly cemetery and maybe the permits, we should be reviewing our rates.
Yes,
Comparing to other similar townships in the area.
as part of the budget process,
Right.
we should be reviewing our fees and charges.
Same with the service agreement.
Yeah, so
Will help us a lot.
okay. The next one is growth and development. I think we master plan. We're starting to plan the master plan. We have our little subcommittees under the planning commission umbrella, advisory committees. And one of those is affordable housing. So I hope we get some suggestions about that. Expand high-speed broadband internet. Monday night, I tried to get on to join the city council meeting, and I couldn't get connected to the internet. Very frustrating for me. And some of the council people had questions for me, so it was frustrating for them. And I told Garnet, who is on the city council and on the county-wide broadband committee. Now, I live 6 miles from here. There is absolutely no reason I shouldn't have internet.
Who's your provider?
Yeah. I have a hotspot or
Oh,
what do you call it? Jetpack. It wouldn't connect. But so my provider, I guess, would be Verizon because it comes from the cell tower. And I told Garnet about it, and she seemed to think that there was something that the county is planning on doing. So I know that nobody else would agree with me, but I would like to see some of our ARPA funds go into the broadband. It's just support. It doesn't have to be a big support. It just has to say we support this. And that's just me.
Do we know what the county is going to do?
We do not.
That's kind of been the thing, is like a waiting game. I mean, if they would invite all the townships
Yeah.
and
They
the
have
municipalities to
Commissioner
give a certain
Packer
amount.
Yes.
said we hope support it. So we don't have any details yet. We don't know how much money they're allocating, we don't know what the plan. Is anyone else from the tri-community area on the county board, do you know? Or the board?
I just know what Garnet is on.
It's for the cheers.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello,
She has her hand up.
Oh,
What a
sorry.
good student.
I was in the middle of a sentence. Sorry.
Well, I can't tell what you're in the middle of because I can hardly hear you. Number one, I've got my volume all the way up.
Okay.
Number two, you come and go. And number three, Cindy, can you repeat what you just said? I was worried you were sick Monday night. Did you say you couldn't log in?
I couldn't connect the internet. The internet would not connect.
I still can't. I can't hear you guys.
The internet would not connect.
Okay, and then did that lead to a discussion on ARPA?
Yes.
Because I,
In
know,
terms of
I'm-
in terms of using some ARPA funds, but we'll get into that in the next section too. We're waiting to hear from the county what their plan is and what they're spending.
okay.
They've asked us to help, but we don't know what that means.
Do you hear better now, Brenda?
I'm trying.
Okay, he just attached that.
Well, you know what? It's good that I'm doing this because I know and nobody else is logged in besides me, but if this is how they hear it, where they catch every other word and it's very quiet and muffled, that's not good. And this is a new sound system, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
so-
hearing you perfectly. So.
okay, now, John, I just heard you better, so maybe that whatever you did, Danielle, worked.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
I'm
mic
sorry.
wasn't on.
I
Okay.
can get
Yeah.
two mics. That would be-
All right.
Yeah, I just don't know how if there's a way to turn it on without having to plug it in.
Well, carry on. I'm really sorry. I'm not there.
No, don't be sorry. If you're not feeling 100%, you shouldn't.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. This is better.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
The next item is economic and business development. I think we have an advisory committee,
Mhm.
a subcommittee of the planning commission that's working on that. And we're moving to value statements. You can see those what they are. Plan. Our bus fund.
No,
John?
someone talking?
Cindy is.
I'm sorry. Oh, well, I'll do my best.
On the ARPA funding, we're going to go around the table and talk about the things that John has identified in his overview and review. John, would you please go over your
Sure.
memo?
Yep. So I sent this out to everyone yesterday. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm just going to highlight some of the points I put here. ARPA, which you know is the American Rescue Plan Act. We're slated to get about, I think it's $354,000 from the federal government, and we've received half of that. We have 5 years to spend that money, so there's no rush. The half that we received, just to remind you, I moved into a sub-account of our Michigan class investment pool, just to keep it safe. And it's liquid there, but we need it segregated, because when we do start spending it, the reporting requirements are pretty hefty. And so we gotta have that clean. Yes.
So the question about class, because we already had one. Where
Mhm.
do they have it in a separate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I created a sub-account that actually is called ARPA. And ran it all by Dan, the auditor. So there is, just an aside, this is more technicality that'll affect me and or Daniel. We have to file by April 30th, our first quarterly report. We will not have spent anything, so it should be pretty simple to file that. We do have, we're fully registered with the state, which I set up last summer, but now there's a new portal at the federal level with the US Treasury that we've got to do pretty soon. We have the instructions, and hopefully it's no more complicated than the state list. So the important thing here to remember is what we cannot do with ARPA funds, and it's not a huge list. We can't set up a rainy day fund for the township for unplanned projects. We can't use it to offset a reduction of taxes, but we haven't had a reduction of taxes. Can't use it for debt service reserves. Cannot use it for funding pension plans. So that's a separate issue if we increase our funding next year. And we can't use it for any kind of legal settlements. And they just, a few weeks ago, increased what can be used for. And it's pretty liberal. So we can use it on general township services and projects. That's pretty broad. Capital investments in the building space. I like that one. This too. Upgrades of ventilation and filtration systems. They actually spell that out. And that's huge on my list in terms of the building. So I like that too. It can be spent on parks and outdoor recreation, cybersecurity improvement, election equipment, Ms. Clerk. So if we need help there, GIS mapping, drinking water and sanitary facilities at the township hall. There's a plan for that, or in a park. And we can use it for broadband infrastructure. There's some specific limitations on that. So the next section, I'll just go ahead and then we can go around the room. I threw these out as things that I would encourage us to think about. Because the other thing, and I'd like to get feedback on this question. I don't know if you know about Occam's razor. You would know Occam's razor from philosophy history, but in nature, the simplest answer is the best. I'm just throwing this out there. We could use all our ARPA funds for one thing. We could split it up. That's kind of going to be up to us collectively. But on my list, what I'd like us to consider, the building renovation, election needs, planning, zoning, administrator support, enforcement procedures, project manager position, perhaps like the city has, and funds for zoning ordinance review and updates. If you have questions on those or just want to go on, I'll stop.
Abby, do you have anything you'd like to add to that list or emphasize on that list?
I do have a question, to go back a little bit. It says contributions to a rainy day fund. I get that. Can't just keep sitting there like, oh, we're gonna use it when we need it. could it be allocated to a capital fund? You know, something that was very specific? Probably not.
Do you have an
Yeah,
example?
something or-
Well, I mean,
oh, looks like Daniel might have the answer.
okay, but I,
In the meantime, right, you can put it in any kind of financial investment you want, and you are entitled to keep any money that you make off of it. But you
But it
have,
has to be spent.
exactly, so it can't stay there indefinitely.
I do support so I think building renovation, yes. I think we should definitely allocate some funds to that. Election needs, I don't think we need anything. We just purchased those laptops. We have 2 tabulators already.
Sure.
I'll ask Lori, we might, I don't know how old our original tabulator is. That might be around $3,000 to $5,000. But other than that, I can't see anything with that. I will ask her. Sorry, you turn it down for that. What specifically are you talking about with planning, zoning, administrator support, John?
Well, this is, and again, some of these things will probably be issues in our general budget planning that we can address based on revenue projections separate from ARPA. But I put it here just because it's a real hot button right now, as the advisory committees have sent their requests to Lene and done these charts, rated ordinance review, specific ordinances as an A, B, or C level. There's a lot of work coming. And it could be, she's talked about recommending bringing in a consultant on this project. So I was kind of thinking that. Also, again, this one I think will be handled more in our budget, but there's a lot, I think there's a lot of support for having Lene give us more time each week. So again,
I like that first part a lot because that's like, she's flooded right now because she's given all these, you know, extra tasks and they're amazing and everybody's done the work. So bringing in somebody on a shortish term makes sense to me. Having positions that are longer term don't, because this is a set amount of money that we have, you know, so that would be trickier. I'm not saying it's not doable somehow, but so thank you for that. That makes sense. So yes, I support definitely at the very least getting her some extra help with these special projects. Enforcement, again, that would be hard if we're going to have somebody that say does 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week of enforcement for us. How do we fund that indefinitely? But that is a priority, I know, for most of us. Internships for grant research. Can you talk about that?
oh, I forgot to mention that. Well, yeah, we've talked for 3 years about having an intern or interns. And we kind of got moving when Mr. Graham was here, and it kind of stalled when Mr. Fry was here. And again, we get email alerts, whether it's state, federal, there are so many grant opportunities out there. And we haven't been aggressive about pursuing it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of research. Obviously we're doing some, but like Dana's doing the lion's share work, to the TAP grant. And I would like to see us just think this one through again.
Okay.
And again, it could be a
That's
fiscal
short-term
budget thing, but
That's a short-term thing as well. So
yeah.
I can get my head around that. And then does the funds for zoning ordinance review and update kind of tie right into that planning zoning?
Yeah, that was a
administrator?
redundancy, I would say. I guess I just put it on the side.
I guess my wish list, because it's fun and these things are all very important. So I'm glad that you put a lot of effort into this. You know, consistently people talk about, you know, parks and trails and all of that is very important to most of the people in the township. So I would like to see some money given somehow to that, broadband. And then it kind of fits with parks, but possibly land acquisition for cemetery, for parks, for trails, for whatever, you know, just conserving. So that is all I have.
Thank you. Brenda, I see you raising your hand.
Yes, I have an idea. If you could put a chair in the middle of that square with that mic on, it might help. I can watch. The only person I can hear is John, and that is only when he faces the mic. Maybe that's why somebody had that chair set up.
No, that's the problem. I don't know if I do.
It's always worked on this. This is mine. Steve wants it back.
Oh, you might not have,
So let's
I'm
get a
sorry.
bench. It seems to work when this is in the middle.
This will work. Yeah, that would work.
and while you're doing that, I want to mention, I have a lot of contacts because I did used to do that. I guess you could find an intern, but you might be better off. There are so many contractors that will do that grant research and writing. On the other hand, you could pay me. I could do the grant research. But it would help to know what we're actually qualified to get. For example, we're not a 51, so we have to go through the roads commission for certain things. So that would be very interesting, but I don't know. I thought the intern idea was strictly Joe's, and I think I have an idea who it might have. Never mind. Anyway, so I'm sorry to bother you guys. I caught a little bit of what Abby said, but then I didn't. I think if you move or anything, it goes away. And again, this is really good for if we have people that zoom in to know what's going on. So, and I do want to express that my number one priority is getting us all broadband. And that is mostly for the kids who don't have it. I still am trying to wrap my head around the idea that I'm in a rural community, but Cindy, you are out there. And Steve and I both, Steve was watching that meeting, and he said, "Where's Cindy?" And so I'm just expressing that in case I can't really hear what you say. So that's all. I don't know how I feel about
Test the mic.
Can you hear us now?
Is it better now? You already heard me.
How about me? Can you hear me, Brenda?
Yeah, not good, but I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, just one other thing, and I think I forgot it. I can't remember what I was going to say, but I'm sorry. So I might be passing a stone and it's affecting my brain. Sorry, too much information.
Hey,
So,
Stacy, it's
that's
your
it.
turn.
Okay, well, I'm all about the building renovation. I'm excited about that, so I'm
Oh.
hoping you can allocate some, you can hear me, right?
Yes, you're perfect. And that's what I was going to say. I don't know about the optics of that. That's all. You guys, now discuss.
About me talking loud?
No, thank you. Thank you for talking loud.
Oh,
No,
you mean
about the optics of putting any money from the ARPA funds towards the building.
Oh, I thought that's what it was for, actually, so, I mean,
It's one of the first
Is it-
things they suggest.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
they
it?
said we
Okay.
could use it for that, that's what I was thinking, and that's what we're
Okay.
doing right now, so.
It's number one on the
What
MTA list.
what a big gift
Okay.
this would be to help us with that. I'm all about some more zoning administrator. I don't know, I think Lene can get a lot done if we had her a little more time, if it's like that, but enforcement, I think it's something we need to do instead of just waiting for the complaints, but I guess that's how it usually starts out. But I think we have to be proactive about that. It would help to have a little bit of money for that. And the ordinance review, that would be under Lene's title, but I think that's really important. So broadband also is in my top wish list.
And I think we have some enforcements that are ongoing already.
Yeah, we do. And those are going to be expensive. Yeah, we have a lawsuit coming up against the, I don't know if I should say their last name, the Forkers.
It's the illegal truck stop.
Yeah, which is, it's a big concern.
Stop, it's a trucking
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
But it's not their trucks. It's people.
Yeah. So we've made that a priority, and in the past, people have done things in the township with getting like illegal materials that had connections to industrial uses that have contaminated the water source. The fire department did note they had fuel tanks on their property, so we're taking it seriously. So we're pursuing that. Lene, Dana, and I are kind of all sucked into this project that's ongoing. Jars, it's a marijuana recreational retailer that's going in on Blue Star, and they have a lot of conditions that they're pushing back on us for, that they don't want to meet, and we're kind of encouraging to meet them, and that's taking up a lot of energy. So I do see like bigger enforcement issues occurring. I don't think that we've really enforced anything along the Kalamazoo River with the natural overlay district, and I do know of homes there that have actively violated that overlay district ordinance. One of them resulted in the entire dock falling into the Kalamazoo, so they lost about 20 feet of bluff. So I do think that there are things that are important that require attention. So I don't know what the solution is, but Lene has been pretty good about keeping up with it, but it does take a lot of effort, and it does take money. There's costs on our side.
That's true, and we have also the other cleanup that we need to still do. that we
Yeah.
haven't done.
Yeah,
I would like to see some of the funds spent on those existing enforcement procedures that we have going. Rather than try to hire a code enforcement person, because that's a long-term commitment that's probably not appropriate. I had another question. I agree with everything that everybody had to say, but our new sound system, can these funds be spent retroactively on something that we've already purchased, like our Zoom meeting equipment?
I don't think so, because that would mean we have to file all that. I mean, I guess some people have spent some money. This first filing period is really just for March. I guess I'd want to look at how much was that? Is it-
8,000.
Yeah.
I believe it was 8,000.
It was right around that,
Right.
but that would be really appropriate because that is directly COVID related. If we can do that,
And and maybe we need some upgrades to it. I don't know.
I think we're probably gonna need some sound upgrades.
That-
Yeah, I think so.
That I
Yeah.
would endorse that. But I think if it's already spent, we've spent it. But we can look at it. We can look at the total.
Yeah,
and-
talk to Peter about that. Because
Okay.
he's doing that with the city.
So he's declaring some expenditures
Yeah.
right away. Okay. We'll do that.
I know Brenda kind of interjected, but did she have a chance to talk about like everything?
I don't know. Brenda, do you have more you want to add to this list that John provided us?
No. Thank you.
So
You
I'm
know
just
what?
kind of trying to take notes on what are, what items the most people like agree on. So if you look at that list, Brenda, I know you already said that broadband is your #1 priority. Can you list like maybe 2 at least more of your top priorities there?
Well, I do like the idea of the township office. If that's the #1 on the MTA list, I just was worried about optics, how it might look that we're using ARPA funds to improve our environment, although I know it's everybody's. Let me ponder that for a while. And you know what, Daniel? I think the mic, I think your laptop is serving as the mic.
Oh, really?
I hear you super clear all the time, but I'm still not getting I don't know how that, anyway, don't mess with it. I'm doing the best I can here, but thank you, Abby. Let me think about it
Okay.
if I can. Okay. And Abby, you sent that to us?
John did. John came up with this list. It's
Oh,
great.
right. Okay.
Hold on.
I have that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I sent it out yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
So far, the top ones are building renovations, planning and zoning administrator support, which kind of also includes zoning ordinance review and update.
Right.
Enforcement procedures, possibly just the ones that are already existing in broadband. Those are the ones that are, it's according to my notes, at least getting the most support
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't think of anything to add. I'm looking at the list as well. I'm revisiting John's list.
Is there any more discussion about the ARPA funds? John, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just want to thank everyone for everything that they said. Did you get to weigh in? And I took kind of feel that I agree with how you summarized.
I don't need to be
And,
bossy, but that's how I am.
and again, I'll just say, we don't have to rush in on any of this, and it'll be tied up, I think, a lot in our budget discussion.
So,
Abby, do you have any?
I guess that's what, I mean, I agree. It's, I don't want to be like my kids when they earn, when they get their paycheck, or at least when they're younger, man, they're wearing holes in their pockets. They wanted to go out and spend it that day. We had to go somewhere. So thank you for reminding us, John. We don't need to hurry on this. And there are some things that we might want to learn first, like what other people are doing and what people are pulling monies to. What's my point? I have another point. You go to
Stacy, do you have any further discussion that you'd like to?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope.
I'll be able to talk.
what would like the next step be? Would it just be that we revisit maybe these topics, and then if something else came up, these kind of top topics, and then if something else came up in our budget discussions, or?
Well, one thing I was going to ask everyone just to think more about in the next few weeks. I'd like to get a better sense of this notion of spend most of it on one big project, and if we do spread it around, I would hate to see us do like 6 projects at 50,000, but maybe I could talk into that. I kind of like the more focused approach, but that doesn't mean that's where we end up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we could easily dilute the money by spreading it over too many things. But I'm in full support of spending it on the building renovation and making some kind of contribution when we know more about it to the broadband county effort.
Yeah, we need to.
The enforcement for sure. And hiring a consultant to make the changes to the zoning ordinance that the planning commission has recommended also makes a lot of sense.
And as you said, that's a very time specific.
Yeah.
It could be 90 days. It's not going to be a year.
Right.
It's a project.
It's a project, not a general operating fund.
And yeah.
That goes forever.
And we need to reach out to Commissioner Kappiga and Mayor Lewis. It's just how close are they to having any details on the broadband plan? And what would they like from us so we can consider? It's clearly a priority, but we don't have any details. We know a lot more about the building renovation at this point, dollar wise. Thank you, everyone.
Any more ARPA discussion?
I have
Daniel.
one small thing. So in your packet, there's this letter from a charity called Safe Harbor, asking us if we'd like to spend any of our ARPA money on this charity. Now, I imagine that we're going to get many more these kinds of letters. And I just kind of wanted to establish that as a township, we're actually not able to legally donate money to this kind of charity. So it's not really something that we can really consider. It's that's I had John add to our list of what we cannot spend our money on, and it's any other use not explicitly allowed by the state. So we are not explicitly allowed as a township to donate to or give money to this kind of organization. So it's just something to keep in mind that we're not being charitable, it's just illegal.
And that you clarified, that is specific to township.
That is specific to townships. A lot of this literature does not take into account the nuances of townships. So they're just, blanketly sending it to all sorts of municipalities. And we do have additional restrictions, and that's one of them. You're welcome.
No more discussion about the ARPA funds. We can move on to discussion of office redesign. Stacy, you're on that committee.
Yeah.
Do you have any report?
Well, we haven't really gotten into it very deep we had the meeting with Evan and Dirk and yeah. And I thought it went well. They seem excited to work with us and I'm excited to work with them. Becky and I have tentatively talked about next, I think Tuesday, going, making appointments with all our staff and seeing what their wish lists and requests are. And we think that'll go pretty smoothly. And I guess we're just waiting to see what they come up with next. But I'm excited.
John, do you have anything to add to that?
I'll just add that we talked a bit about this yesterday. I think it's a really good idea that the design committee and make some site visits to comparable townships. I know Lake Town has done a lot of upgrading. I haven't been in there in years, but even then it was miles ahead of where we are. So I think that's a great idea. And that it's creating one person.
Yeah, good
and
idea.
get some ideas. Because
Maybe we could run down to South Haven, see what their building looks like and say hi to Griffin and
well, that's a city with a lot.
Oh, that's true.
There's
That's a
South
city.
Haven Township. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be good intelligence for all.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, the process has been slowed down, but I think we'll be glad that it has been slowed down.
Uh-huh.
And, we need to get it right.
Well, I remember them saying this was like a use for 15 years, but I really don't agree with that. I think we should look at it as, we're doing this to last a while. So that's what my hope is, at least.
Abby, did you have something?
I have just a couple of questions. So you had said they're gonna come back with a plan. Is that they're gonna look at the layout and maybe make some changes
Well,
to the layout that was presented to us?
oh, definitely. Yeah, a total 180 from what we've seen so far. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to clarify. Also, have the Michigan State Police been included in this discussion at all? I mean, we own the building, I guess, so it doesn't matter, but I mean, do we have to invade their space for like ventilation? Wouldn't we want to do all of it? I don't know. Is that a factor that we need to?
I think we should talk to them.
Okay.
I don't think that was fact. I think the assumption was they'd always be there. That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
And also they did do some preliminary heating work. I mean, to look at ventilation so that's all ongoing
Right,
with
but does
this
it
company.
include
I think
them
it
as
did.
well?
Oh, it
Sure.
didn't include. I think it did include that. So that's not back yet. So,
Yeah. I want to say they have some idea because I think they had to gain access to their side to look at the mechanicals. So I don't think they're totally, I don't know how in the dark they are, but I know that they must know that we have something in the works.
The only comments I have. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Daniel, do you have anything you want to add about the building redesign?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the email because I don't want to be inaccurate, but they did kind of they they sent us all an email about what we should expect from them moving forward. So there's going to be 2 to 3, I forget what they're calling them, like kind of like vision meetings. So we're going to have one, and I think this is where we need to collect the information from staff and from board members and people who use the space quite a bit and interview them and kind of bring that information to them. And then we'll kind of talk about, what we're envisioning for the space. Then we're going to have a second follow-up meeting where we get to see the kind of initial plans that come out of that. And then if there are bigger changes that we want to see, they usually have a third meeting before they finalize anything. So they did kind of give us a sense of how to anticipate this, unfolding. But I don't think that we should anticipate seeing anything from them until we get that feedback and we bring that to them at that first meeting. And they said even in that's when they're going to do some like sketches like in person and like work through it. So they did give us a sense of like how they usually do this with other municipalities. We have gotten that, and they do know we have a design committee established.
I don't know if we mentioned this last time we talked about it. We found out, for example, we thought that Avonmarsh, the design team, had suggested the flip of the building, and that's not true. They were directed that we would prefer a flip, and that probably won't happen now. But as Daniel said, they haven't started sketching things out. We did find way back when this started, and I say we because I was in one of those meetings with Becky and Hayworth, and the Hayworth team did a whole floor plan, and Daniel found it yesterday, which is great because Avonmarsh never saw it. And at one point, when we were all more involved, we kind of liked it. So, and one thing I want to ask you to think about, because it came up when we met with them and they're aware of this, the timing of the project vis-a-vis in August and November election. And if we can look around it, great, but if it's slowing it down, they asked us, and now I'm asking you, and I'm sorry I didn't think to ask this question earlier, but we need to think about if we had to have polling somewhere else, if that could happen. Yeah, I know the city moved to the women's club, but that's really close. I don't know if we even have that option. Obviously, everyone wants to avoid that, but just know that I don't see, now that we're kind of restarting this, that everything would be done by August.
Right. Hopefully, even if it's dusty and there's, plastic curtains up, we can make it work. But I would like to be, and I know that on your committee, all of you have worked elections, right?
I
have.
I wouldn't know.
And Becky has worked a lot, so she understands that. I do. I understand that you and Becky are going to meet with Lori.
Everyone. We're gonna hope to have like
potentially looped in with Lori too, just so
sure.
because she's not, the
I was gonna
elections are big.
You should definitely be in that or do a separate one.
Right.
Because you get the bigger picture.
I think we're planning 11:30 next Tuesday to start these.
Because we do like to have more space, and we would like to have an office, and it doesn't need to be, it could be, used for something else 90% of, the majority of the time, but for AV counting board, we have just different needs and traffic flow with door placement.
And we mentioned that to them because we didn't see that really being accommodated in the last set of plans.
And they do other municipalities,
Oh, yeah,
right?
they do.
So they should know.
Yeah.
They're really pretty much, we're starting again.
Okay. I just don't want to add my feedback too late where it's like, oh, we have this great plan, and now, Lori, I come and say that's not going to work because of X, Y, and Z. Okay.
Yes, it's just starting, so you're good.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I read last week they're doing bike trail work for City of South Haven. So they do a lot of, it's not just indoor things.
Brenda, did you have anything you wanted to add to that about the office? Okay.
No, I think you covered it, John. Thank you for thinking of these things. I didn't even, sorry, Abby, I didn't think about elections, but now I'm thinking, when can I get my training again? But that's not related.
Okay, we're done with office design. Are there other items that anybody would like to bring up? Again, we'll just go around the table. John, do you have anything under other items?
I don't think so.
I think we're making really good time here, and I appreciate everybody making good time. Brenda, do you have any other items you want to bring up to discuss?
No.
Okay. Stacy,
Nope.
have other items?
Can't think of anything.
Abby?
I'm chatty today. I'm taking over for John. I really appreciated going over our strategic plan, mostly because it feels good to check things off and to check in to see how much progress we've made. If anybody could answer this, it'd be great. But I know when we worked, who did we work with last? I can't remember his name. It's great.
I'm sorry.
On the strategic plan.
Oh,
We did it in Zoom.
Oh.
Yes, well done. So what was because I think as far as I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, we said, this is a great plan. And it's a multi-year plan, and we don't need to change the plan every year, because then we're like not seeing the full progress and these projects to real fruition. We're adding too much. What did we decide? Maybe it's in there. When do we come back and formally take a look at it and add and tweak and say, hey, this one's done. It's been 2 or 3 years. This is accomplished and it's done. And maybe look at it with a different facilitator just to have a different experience. I feel like we had talked about when we would do that, and I don't know what the answer is.
Well, it says here that this is a 2+ year plan.
I think 2 years is a good target for that.
And we did this last.
And this member last year was all done on Zoom.
So we're good. This is
It's
only
very
a year.
challenging, but we had a lot of homework. He done so many things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And then my other thing, just to plant the seed and discuss, well, not really discuss, just plant the seed, is we're going to have to talk about doing a hiring process and just make a plan for it, and be deliberate about it. And do we want to see that on the agenda in
March?
Thank you. People to be thinking about what we'd like for that to include and look like.
Yes, I agree
Yeah,
with Abby.
I'd
I
like
agree.
everyone, in particular, our supervisors. I was thinking leading into March, because I think it's coming up. Would it be useful in advance of that for any or all of us to send maybe you a schedule and thoughts,
Yeah, that would
rather
be
than
great.
just have it open, starting from scratch verbally, at a meeting?
I think that's a great idea. If everybody wants to email what their
Yeah.
thoughts are on what the hiring process should be.
Yeah, I'm sure there've been some individual conversations, but if someone could
Yeah. if we
collate
just-
them all, or whatever the
Should
right
just
word is.
send, why don't we send them to Brenda?
Huh?
Can we, are you up for that?
Just repeat it again, please.
So I had suggested we all send our thoughts and ideas on what the hiring transition plan should be or could be, elements, timing, and things like that. I said, let's all send them to Cindy, so she has them in advance of the March meeting, but she just suggested we send them to you.
Yes, that's fine.
That work? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's a great idea.
I didn't know if this was the place to bring that up. Even little things like titles which need to be revisited and revised. So would this plan cover that as well?
Yes.
I say we put in
Okay.
all of our thoughts.
Yeah, we
So then-
definitely need to do that sooner rather than later, I think.
So we would send all our thoughts to Brenda and then Brenda would kind of identify some. comments.
Collate it. Yeah.
And- okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
That's great. Keeping transparency in mind, everybody.
Well, I think we need to take advantage of our strengths on the board, and Brenda would be perfect for doing that.
Yep, I'm on board.
Good.
And the other items we need to cover. Dick, do you have any other items?
No, I don't have anything.
Brenda, do you have any other items?
No,
John?
I want to commend us. I thought we did it in an hour, but I thought it was very thoughtful and meaningful, and we covered a lot of important things. So
yeah.
thank you, everyone, and ourselves.
And Abby, do you have any other items?
No.
Public comments, we'll open it up to public comment. Nobody in the audience, nobody on the Zoom, so we'll close the public comments. And we
That's
will
me.
adjourn this meeting to our next regular meeting on March 9 at 6 o'clock.
Did you want to address that? Is that the regular? I
That's
thought,
the regular one.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought, oh, maybe I'm wrong about good. We can do that separate.
Yeah. Our next quarterly meeting, we'll discuss at the March
Right.
meeting, when we want to do, because we are having another special meeting joint with the planning commission. And is that scheduled for March 9?
No, that's scheduled for the last Monday in March. Thank you for bringing that up. I should have thought of that. So on Monday, March 28th, if that's a regular planning commission meeting, that starts at 6, but like we did a year ago, we're suggesting at 5 o'clock, all board members attend and we do the annual joint meeting. And Renee's good with that, Becky's good with that, Cindy's good with that, so.
We did that via Zoom, correct? And it was, yes.
Yeah.
Well, last year, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
So, can you tell me like I know it's great to connect with our planning commission, but what would that look like? What would be expected of the planning commission, expected of us? What would the discussions be around?
okay.
I think that the planning commission and their subcommittees should submit written reports to us before the meeting. Like, so we could review it, see what questions we had, see if there was a broad overview, because it's only going to be an hour.
Right.
So if we get the information in advance, then we can have the opportunity to review it and ask any questions that we might have of Lene or.
Yeah, because what we talked about yesterday was, yeah, obviously update on the committees because we didn't have them. But to that point, the work is almost done on creating these master documents. So as soon as that is officially considered good to go, I think we distribute that to everybody. You can reach it through Google Docs, but I think we can also do people a hard copy. That's kind of the report. And that can probably get out to people like right after this month's planning commission, right?
I would talk to them about it, PC about it. I don't want to speak for them.
Okay, then I will. That's only a couple, that's too much, it's 2
I'm
weeks
sure
away.
they'd be fine with it, yeah, but
It's tough. I think that would be good. The other thing was, because remember last year, Lene did that really strong review document.
Yes.
So like we just did here, I mean, probably could just look at that again and do, we never did this, or we did. Because you're right, it's an hour, but we did this in an hour. So, yeah.
So you're saying this entire board meeting would be in addition to your normal planning commission, the first hour, you feel? And we would be here. Right. Okay.
As we did last year,
We did it on Zoom.
but we were on.
I'll
Zoom.
join.
we had an icebreaker, remember?
Yeah.
We had to say like what
Just
short,
posted a live.
Right.
yeah, something like that,
Oh,
yeah.
maybe not.
Who was that? Random question.
Lene did that, the icebreaker.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was fun.
It was.
Yeah, we are.
Maybe I wasn't there.
Maybe you
Was I,
weren't.
You know, something going on. There was stuff going on.
I couldn't tell you if you were there, so I don't know. All right, thanks, Brenda.
Like, I know where
We can't hear you.
Brenda,
No?
can you hear?
Oh, now I can.
Brenda, are you still there? Brenda?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
No. How come I can't hear her now?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh.
My
So
volume's
do
up
you
all
want
the
to
way.
do you want to give anything back to me under the circumstances, or are you?
No,
okay?
not after, no, I still didn't, I haven't, you'd think that when you have to redo a whole deposit, it's easier.
Right. No. Okay.
And I was feeling so bad last night that I just had to let it go.
No, I
So-
wanted you to let it go. Did BSNA,
Yeah.
but is your BSNA working now?
Yes, it's working fine. It's in the future, if you ever get that message that, and it shows up and you can't work because of it,
Yes.
don't do what they're telling you to do until
Ignore
you're
it.
completely externalized. Yes,
Wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
frightening.
Monitors.
yeah.
So what do you have?
So,
Like,
when
how
you
many
hook up to that, it takes-
deposits do you probably have there?
It's hard to say. I'm working on the last one that was the original check, and then I will start into yours.
Okay.
The
So
ones
there's
you
a
gave me
couple.
yesterday. Yeah,
All right. And there's,
Yeah.
you know, those can go in the bank tomorrow.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
I did 5 deposits today, 4